Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. It set. Just got this new unit. All right, I hope we have sound now. Everybody, can you hear me now? Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and we're going to have a great show for you today. Welcome aboard, Paul Fleming from ATL, Yvette Avery Herod from Georgia. Welcome aboard, Norman Reynolds. Welcome to Politics Done Right. Sarah Beastie, welcome aboard. Paul Fleming, Norman Reynolds, Sarah. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad everything is wearing good. We should be having the Yvette Avery interview on Thursday, not only on KPFT 90.1 FM Houston and around the country on the Pacifica Network, but we'll also have it on Thursday here as well. We've been late in getting some of the information, but Yvette is one of our leaders in the labor movement, and we really want to get her aired as soon as possible, especially with Striketober almost coming to an end, and of course, moving forward. Anyway, folks, welcome to Politics Done Right. We got a great program for you today. What is the program gonna be about today? Let's talk about what the program is gonna be about today. As soon as I get it up on the screen, the program today will be, if you come to the screen, I can then tell my folks, conservative Muslim woman's U.S. journey. Machin says he's lost. How can Machin be lost? The screen, I can then tell my folks, conservative Muslim woman's U.S. journey. Oh, you know, that happens when you turn the wrong parameters on. Anyhow, so we have Machin saying he's lost, but we have a whole lot much more. I want to start, before I go to that interview, I want to play Machin because I think it is quite instructive what he has to say. Let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll get back into the program. Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. PDR welcomes badass comedian Mona Sheikh. Joe Manchin got interviewed today, and they asked him the very important question. Are you leaving the Democratic Party? What do you think about isn't it easier being a Republican? Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Have you ever thought life would be easier for you if you shifted to being a Republican? And somebody have said recently that people have approached you about doing that.
Every day.
So,
either that or just change.
Wouldn't life be easier for you to do that?
Oh, it'd be much easier. My goodness. Is that the purpose of being involved in public service?
Are you thinking about doing it?
No, I've never thought from this. What I'm telling you now is who I am. Do you think by having a D or an I or an R is going to change who I am? I don't think the R's be any more happier with me than D's are right now. Okay? I mean, that's about as blunt as I can put it. So I don't know where in the hell I belong.
Little nitpick. So I don't know where the hell I belong. Do you think changing it to an R, an I, or D is going to change me? And the Republicans will be just as pissed at me as the Democrats are. Believe it or not, I kind of like the answer. Now, I don't like the morals behind what he stands for, but I think there's a certain ring to that answer. And there's another important piece. For now, he's still caucusing with the Democrats because he does realize his power only lies within the Democratic Party that has a slim majority with the vice president. But you know what? As soon as he is irrelevant to the Democratic Party, which our expectations is that it will come pretty soon. Progressives, you got to go out there and work hard. You have to go out there against Sinema. You got to go out there against Machin. You got to go out there against every single Democrat that belongs in another party, that doesn't really support the middle class, that doesn't really support policies that lifts people up, people that are not going to be condescending to those who have been maligned by the plutocracy. When you hear a Joe Manchin say, I don't want to create an entitlement state, yet he entitles the plutocracy with benefits, with billions of dollars, trillions of dollars of our work. You know, we have to rid ourselves of those. Right now we need Joe Manchin. Right now we need Kirsten Sinema. But it is our job to go out there and do the work that is necessary to really build a progressive base. But that also requires informing people appropriately so that the fallacies that come across from these guys, his daughter was the one who gouged us with the EpiPen. These were the people who constantly lie to us about somehow profit in the healthcare system can somehow be more efficient than a one-payer system. The fallacies of many of the people in our own party has to end, and it ends by progressives getting them out in the long run, but playing ball when necessary to attain the ultimate goal. So where do you belong? When we get more progressives elected, like you once said, you'll understand where you belong. Absolutely so. And what Norman said is fact. He is trying to please who? Himself or his constituents? And it's evidence it's himself. A guy from the second poorest state in the country, not supporting policies that his people need, that will do well to elevate his people. It's a sad, sad state. Again, let me welcome Norman Reynolds, Sarah Beatty, Paul Fleming, Avery Herod. Let's see who else is in the house right now in the chat. I think I got those in the chat right now. Anyhow, let's go ahead and get our interview busy. It's I think you're going to like it. It's kind of fun, and then we'll take it on the other side. Welcome to another edition of Politics and Random. Egberto Will is your host. PDR welcomes badass comedian Mona Sheikh. She combines a South Asian sensibility with strong Americanized values, cherishing the First Amendment, the right to bear witness, with a big freedom-loving mouth that raises eyebrows and temperature. She has a hell of an offbeat sense of humor. Sheikh is a non-uptight tightrope walker who commits serious oral gamy. You get it? Unfolding the spoken word while striving to maintain equilibrium whilst dealing with harsh and conflicting forces. With half of her life spent in a prominent conservative Muslim household in Pakistan and the other immersed with America's entertainment and culture, Mona now knows she was set out to break boundaries. Today, Mona resides in Los Angeles, California, pursuing her career as a comedian and actor while developing her upcoming 1-hour special and comedy TV series. She also made history by becoming the first Pakistani female comedian to headline Hollywood Improv. Mona was most recently featured in LA Times, Forbes, LA Weekly, NBC, The Progressive, and Huffington Post. Mona has headlined in Dubai, Portugal, and London. She has emceed the Women's March in San Francisco in 2019, thus making history to be the first South Asian Middle Eastern female comedian to perform for a crowd of 60,000 people. She recently appeared on The Rookie on ABC as Donna Abbasi and will also be on Apple TV's Helpsters as Reina Rafter. She again made history by producing her own show at the world famous comedy store in Los Angeles called Minority Reports, with a launch of sold out shows. Mona. That was a handful. No, that was a mouthful. No, that was a ton. You are out there, girl. Talk to me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. You know what it is? It's like I usually when the intros happen, I'm not present for the intro, so I'm just like when somebody's saying the intros, I'm like la 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 la, and because it's like okay, it's too much. I mean, now it sounds like I'm showing off. This is just showing off. Like okay, stop.
Wait. Showing off, you're in show business. What's the first word in show business?
It's show. Yeah, it's
Thank
show.
you.
You show your talent. Like I guess I get a little. I don't know. I get a little
But
shy about.
you're
something like that.
talented, my dear. You're talented. But you know what? Your story first
you.
of all. Your story first of all. When it was brought to me, I said we had to have you. And the only thing I'm kind of pissed about is that you went to Times, Forbes, LA Weekly, NBC before you came to the little guy at Politics Done Right. So I'm hurt, but no, it's okay.
Please don't be hurt. I just learned about you recently. So if I had learned about you, I would have totally been. But listen, we're here. That's all that matters.
You know what? Exactly right. We are here. But here's the deal, Mona. Your history, for the things that I talk about in politics, it goes beyond politics. It goes into real humanity. So what I want to ask you is, first of all, tell us a little bit about your upbringing, and then I'm going to ask you about your transition. So tell me a little bit about your upbringing, where you're from, etc.
Yeah, so I was born and partially raised in Karachi, Pakistan, or as you say, Pakistan, which is a really good pronunciation the way you say it. I really like it. The reason our family, I have 4 older brothers, and my father had a car business. My mom was a stay-at-home wife. And the main reason we came to the US is because 2 of my brothers, my second and my third brother, were given expired vaccination for polio, and they ended up getting polio because of the expired vaccination
My God.
that they were injected with. So my mom, this young girl, this 23-year-old girl, my mom had 23 kids at the age of 5 kids at the age of 23. And I asked my parents, and I was like, did you not have a TV at home or a radio station? Anything to keep you entertained? Like, what's going on? And my mom was like, it is God's gift. I'm like, I think human beings have something to do with it, Mom, but sure, blame God for it. You go right ahead. But my mom has always been this incredibly innovative and, ambitious lady. And she would usually cover herself up and go and stand in line at the U.S. consulate 5 o'clock in the morning to say that she's going to take her kids to the States to get them treatment because there was no treatment for my brothers in Pakistan. So Shriners Hospital, shout out to Shriners, in Kentucky, responded to one of the letters my mom wrote to them and told them that I have 2 sick kids. And that's how we started coming to the U.S. But I think the whole thing about all the kids coming here, my parents never lived here. My father had a business, so he always resided in Pakistan. But the reason that we all ended up here, all 5 of us, is because my mom's first cousin was a huge politician in Pakistan. And we started getting death threats at home when I was a teenager. And you know how that goes.
Whose administration were you under then? Was that Ria, or who was that?
Benazir was in
Benazir
power.
Bhutto, okay.
Benazir Bhutto was in power. So
Gotcha.
my uncle had just gotten elected, and we were getting these death threats at home. So my mom, my parents freaked out. They were like, we gotta send all the kids to America. But, coming from a conservative Muslim household, sending the daughter off to a country like America or to the West isn't the most preferred choice. So my uncles and relatives were calling on my parents and were like, "Are you sure? I don't think you should send your daughter. She's going to be totally spoiled. She's going to be totally ruined. She's going to, be out there telling jokes on stage," which they were so right. They didn't talk about the jokes, but I manifested that for myself. But my parents were like, "Look, if the son's go to America, the daughter goes to America too. She gets absolute equal treatment." So I think, as much of a conservative household as I grew up in, that's one thing that I really respect and value about my parents, is that they gave me the equal access to America when I got here versus when I lived in.
But let me ask you, because you said you're a you came from a conservative household in Pakistan. Were you following all the rules, wearing the burqa, all that good stuff when you were in Pakistan?
We didn't wear the burqa, but I performed the holy pilgrimage when I was 11 years old,
You
which is
did.
very young. Yeah, very young to be performing a holy pilgrimage. But we were always, we weren't allowed to like wear dresses or skirts, or you were always covered up. You were pretty covered up most of the time.
Right.
Religion was a very big part of our household. We had to read the Quran like twice. And it's fascinating, when you grow up in a Muslim household, that they teach you how to read the Quran, but the Quran's in Arabic. We don't speak Arabic. We speak Urdu. So we're like,
Yeah,
I
I
don't know what
know.
I'm reading. Yeah. You're like, I
You
don't know
don't
what I'm
know.
reading. But you're like,
Well,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
well, maybe that explains your explosion when you came to the United States. Tell us about that transition now. This conservative Muslim woman, or how old were you?
I was 15.
Oh, that was at the prime age. A 15-year-old conservative Muslim woman comes to what state?
New York. Good old New
Oh
York.
my God. What happened?
I'm trying to figure the same thing out. I'm trying to figure out what happened indeed. When you come to America, uh, because we in Pakistan would watch the movie Home Alone, we would watch these movies, and I'm like, oh my God, that's what America looks like. And then when I got here, I got picked up at JFK Airport by my brothers, and we were driving through Manhattan. I was like, oh my God, this is just like the movie Home Alone. Like, this is where they shot it. And then when you cross the Holland Tunnel and get into Jersey City, you're like, what happened? This is not what I signed up for. This is a ripoff. Like, where's my money? I want it back. Like, I've been lied to. Because you get to Jersey City and you're just like, this is nothing like the shown in the movies. This is so the opposite. And when you're like these poor immigrant kids, you come here. We lived in a one bedroom, roach infested basement apartment, for God's sake. Like, that is the farthest thing from the movie Home Alone. So when you get here, you're like, oh my God, this is not fun. And going to school is a big culture shock, mainly because of the fact, not because we didn't speak the language. We spoke multiple languages growing up. But when you go to school, it's such a different environment. Also, 15 is the worst age to arrive to America. It's the worst. Kids already have their cliques. They don't know who you are. You're this fob, this fresh off the boat kid. Kids are looking down at you. They're like calling you all kinds of names. Some kids were like, oh my God, you smell like curry. And I was like, curry's delicious. What are you talking about? And now everybody wants to smell like curry, right? In the late 90s, nobody wanted to smell like curry. Now everybody wants a taste of the
It's
curry.
the thing.
It's the thing now. I mean, it's so good that England abandoned their awful fish and chips and took our food as their official
Can
food.
you believe that? That
That's
is
how
like,
good our food is.
I mean, you're making a joke out of that, but that is actually true. When you talk about British cuisine is now like Indian, Pakistani, and
That's
everything
right.
else, you know?
That's right. That's right. Because they're down with brown now. Just for the food, though. Just for the food. Down with the brown. Just for the food, though. Everything else needs to wait. But it was strange, and I must confess, like, I saw pregnant teenagers in school, and I was like, we just call them married back home. Like, I don't know what y'all call this here, but this is a little strange. Like, I never see stuff like this before. Like, this is interesting, but you get bullied a lot in school. I didn't know what were bullies. We call bullies teachers in Pakistan. That's what we call them. And I was like, oh, this is just so interesting and so weird. But I remember the first day I went in for my admission in high school, and my oldest brother was my, was my legal guardian. And I remember we were sitting down, and my principal turns to my brother and goes, "Does she speak English?" Because again, the stereotypes of fresh off the boat, doesn't
Right.
speak the language, how are they going to blend in? And I remember turning to my principal and be like, "What would you like me to say?" And he was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, bruh, we speak English. We speak the English. We were ruled by the British for a long, long time. Okay, we know English."
Let's talk a little bit. This is a political show here. So I want to get a little bit funny with this. I find it amusing that you came here from Pakistan, right? You
Yeah.
spoke English and several other languages because of the nature where you're from. I'm originally from Panama, so I speak English and Spanish and a
Yeah.
few little permutations thereof. You know,
Yeah.
it is amazing that I find you come here and most of these folks here would only speak English. That's not it's not a hit on them only speaking English,
Sure.
but because superpower, our language is the language.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
the thing that is seldom understood is that when those from other places where you have had dominion before, you would think you would know that, okay, if Pakistan was ruled by the British, maybe they speak English. If Vietnam was ruled by the French, maybe they spoke little French,
Right. Right.
Don't you think?
Right. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that in America, we don't even speak English. We speak American. Like, we don't speak English. We speak American. Like, if you ever watch one of those crazy racist videos, like, listen to these people. The people who are attacking the minorities. The first thing I know is like, why don't you speak American? It's like, first of all, American's not even a language. It's an ethnicity. Like, what are you talking about? It's like somebody saying to me, why don't you speak Pakistani? There's no such thing. Like, Pakistani is not a language. Urdu is the language we speak. Hindi is the language we speak. Pakistani is not a language. So I think in America, of course, as the American society, we also have this superiority complex because we're like, we're the stuff, man. We're the hot stuff. And it's like, please, sir, take a seat. Like, you can't even speak American, right? Please take many seats. Please take many seats. And I think a lot of these folks who do speak like that don't even know the very history of their own country. Like, this country is built on the back of immigrants like you and I. This is how this country is built. Like, everything we have is by immigrants, built by immigrants, like, for God's sake. So I think I just find it amusing and hilarious and very ignorant when people come out and say, well, you speak, you're coming from another country. It's like, yeah, the history of this entire country is immigrants.
And everybody, even those people that are sometimes attacking you, they were once immigrants.
That's correct. Their children or grandkids or great great grandkids of immigrants.
And that's why, in our case, we're a progressive show and we have wonderful progressive listeners of all classes, of all races, of all ethnicities. And the one thing that we do in this program is bring folks on like you, because again, people get a chance to see the plethora of what America really is. But the best part about it is you say it with a lot of pizzazz. That's why we call you that badass comedian, because but anyhow, so you came to America, you went to high school, you went through your bullying, you went through all that good stuff of what is Americana.
Yes.
The question is, how the hell did you get to LA and start doing this stuff? I mean, how did this conservative Muslim girl turn into this badass comedian American woman?
I don't think being a stand-up comic was ever part of the plan by any means. It certainly wasn't the plan. I mean, when you come from a conservative Muslim household, being a stand-up comic is not part of the one of the career choices. Like, my family, just a little bit background on my family. I just grew up in I grew up with a lot of domestic violence in our house because my parents always thought about what had happened to my brothers. My father blamed a great deal of it to my mother, and there were always a lot of physical violence, like a lot, between my parents. And I think when I moved to the US, there was a lot of physical violence from my brothers. My brothers were very physically violent towards me. And I think when I turned 18, I just kind of realized that I never felt like home was a safe place for me. So I just decided that I had to move out on my own and just figure my life out. I think at the age of 8, I had realized pretty early on that I wanted to be a performer. That much I knew. But the fact
Wait,
that,
wait. Did you say at the age of 8?
yes, at the age of 8.
But at the age of 8, you were a conservative girl in Pakistan with those
That's correct.
visions. So in reality, you were living out probably what you had seen on TV, maybe?
That's correct. So Bollywood has a huge influence around the world, and of course in Pakistan, because Pakistan is right next door to India. So most of our entertainment is from Bollywood. And I remember watching this movie with this amazing actress by the name of Madhuri Dixit, and Madhuri was doing a dance to one of the songs, and I just fell in love with her. I was like, oh my god, you get to be like this incredibly beautiful and talented and funny. Like you can be a performer like that. I'm like, that's it. That's gonna be me. I'm gonna be a performer for the rest of my life. But when I got here, it was not so easy to navigate those waters
Not at
because
all.
I have 4 older brothers. I'm the youngest and the only girl in the family. I am expected to go to school. Or, I remember coming out of my artist closet to my brothers and I told them, and I was like, I want to be a performer. And my brothers gave me a very simple ultimatum. They said,
What?
either you're going to go to college and you're going to become a physical therapist. I don't know why they wanted me to become a physical therapist. Maybe they have bad backs and they wanted free physical therapy. I don't know. Or they said, we were going to send you back to Pakistan and mom's going to marry you off to someone. So take your pick. Now, I think one thing I realized at a very early age is um, that nobody was going to tell me how to live my life, especially when I'm in the land of the free. Like, there's no way anybody gets to have any kind of, right or call on the way I'm going to live my life. So I remember telling my brothers, and I was like, I love you, but go to hell. Like, this is my life, and I'm gonna live the way I want to.
No, let me ask you something because this goes into a lot of what I think about when I come look at politics around the world and specifically, let's say, in the Muslim world.
Yeah.
I listened to you earlier tell me that at 8 years old, you knew you wanted to be a performer. That
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily a conservative Muslim thing for a young 8-year-old girl, and even a 15-year-old girl now, and to speak to a developed woman like yourself.
Yeah.
We look at what's going on in Afghanistan with women who are no longer allowed to become who they want to become. What is it in the psyche of, let's say, the Muslim woman not in the United States that allows themselves to adapt to that modal?
I don't know if it's about adopting to a model. I think it's just being human. I think, we all as human beings have dreams of things we want to do and pursue, regardless of the environments that we are born and raised in. Dreams are not limited to geography. They're not limited to culture or religion or even gender, for that matter. I think dreams are your dreams. It's how you see living your life. It's how you see yourself. It's how you see that God has given every person has a God given right to live their lives the way they wish to live. And that nobody can take that away.
I want to go deeper than that, though. I want to go deeper than that.
Okay.
Because I see you as special, and I want to know how special you are relative to, let's say, Muslim women in Afghanistan. Let's go, even though I know you're from Pakistan, but let's go to Afghanistan because I know there are shared cultures and shared borders, etc.
Yes.
There ought to be a lot of women, I imagine, in Afghanistan that has that same impetus to do what you want to do. What is it that why are you able to do it and so many have a problem escaping, if you will?
Well, if you are an Afghan woman, or even if you're a Pakistani woman living in an environment where you don't have the means or the resources that like the way my family did to be able to send me to America, yeah, like that's hard. I don't know for what reason God took pity on me and God blessed me with this opportunity to come to America and be able to become the woman I am today. But I know this much, that because God has been so kind to me, I want to be able to use my platform to uplift women like myself, or women who come from similar backgrounds to me or have experienced similar things to me. I mean, that is something, that's the least I can pay forward. That's the least I can do. So it's not so much about why these women can't do what I'm doing. It's just their circumstances are probably a lot different than mine. I'm sure that if they were in similar circumstances than me and were given the same opportunities, I'm sure there would be incredible, amazing women doing special things.
And
It's
that's the
opportunity.
answer I am so happy for that answer, because that's a perfect answer. Given opportunity,
Yeah,
everyone gets that opportunity to be
that's
who they
correct.
want to be.
Absolutely.
That is the perfect answer. And you're putting your actions where your mouth is. You are putting your actions where your freedom is. I think this week, in fact, on Thursday, you're doing a big thing
Yeah.
for people in Afghanistan. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I've watched how the Taliban has come back and taken power and voices away from my Afghan sisters and brothers, and it has been really breaking my heart in every single way. And I grew up with a lot of Afghans in Pakistan because we have a huge Afghan population in Pakistan. I don't know if you know, but Pakistan has the number one highest amount of refugees in the world. Like,
Mhm.
that's what Pakistan is. As tumultuous as Pakistan can be, it's also this dynamic, very generous society that wants to take people in and help them out. This event, I've been watching Taliban, how the first thing they did when they got to Afghanistan is paint over the women's pictures and tell
Yes.
women to go home and they can't be professionals and put a burqa on and they're not allowed in the streets. So this is, with all due respect, a middle finger to the Taliban. So I wanted to do a comedy benefit for Afghanistan, but I just didn't want to have another comedy show. I wanted to bring an Afghan female comedian to come and be the host of the entire event, because it's really the Afghan women that I want to uplift and give a voice to. So I got lucky and found Neelab Sarabi, who's the first Afghan female comedian, and she was kind enough to agree to do it, and she's going to be our host. We have another Afghan comic, male Afghan comic. We have Persian comedians. We have Indian comics. Then I'm on the lineup, and I really wanted to do this event and this fundraiser. We're working with two amazing NGOs. We're working with Afghan Refugee Relief, and we're working with Hope Be Lit. And the 100% of the donations go directly to helping Afghans resettle in the U.S. and also send money back to Afghanistan. So we are just, I just wanted to do whatever I could. If this is the little platform I have, and this is what I can do for my Afghan brothers and sisters, then this is what I'll do. So if your listeners want to come by, it's on Thursday, October 28th, 7:30 p.m. In Irvine. You can find more details at minorityreportswithaz.com. Why the Z, you ask, Egberto? Because we're cool. That's why.
You're
And
damn cool.
we're cool. That's why. We did not want to be confused with the cool Tom Cruise movie. So we are at minorityreports.com, and you can go and buy tickets. And if you can't come, donate to the charities that we're working with, because this is a dire situation. Just the UN today came out and said that we are at the brink of a full-blown humanitarian, like, this Afghan society is going to collapse. Afghanistan society is going to collapse. Millions of children are going to go hungry. Forget about all the women that are stuck at home. I mean, this is just horrific what has happened in Afghanistan. So we want to do our part. We want to do whatever we can to give them opportunities. Just like God was kind enough to put me in a place to have an opportunity to live my dreams, I want to create some kind of opportunities for my.
And what's the website again where they can get all the information about this?
You can go to minorityreportswithaz.com.
Excellent. Now, the last question I ask every one of my interviewees is as follows. What would you have liked me to ask you that I didn't?
What would you have liked to ask me? Maybe ask me about white comedy.
Why comedy?
I don't have the answer, Egberto. I don't have it.
But you asked me to ask you an answer that you say you don't have. I know you got a little piece of it. Let me hear
I
it.
have the answer. It's interesting because I don't I don't know if I watched the greats, your Richard Pryor to your George Carlin, and not that I'm on their level by any means. I feel like comedy is that kind of a talent that chooses its artist. Like comedy chooses you. I feel like it's something that you're born with and that you recognize somewhere along the line and then you start honing that craft. I don't feel like you can teach comedy. Maybe you can teach the rules of comedy, but that innate thing that you have about having a voice, wanting to say something, having something meaningful to say. Not that a lot of comics have something meaningful to say. I'm not so sure about that. You should hear some of the turkey sandwiches jokes I've heard at the comedy clubs. But I just feel like comedy is something that's innate, and I feel fortunate that comedy chose me as one of its delivery girls.
Well, let me tell you something, Mona. Don't sell yourself short, and don't think you're not in the company of the quote unquote greats, because you have that electric personality that people want to listen to and that one could listen to over and over again. So thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that interview. I really had a lot of fun talking to Mona. What she's doing for the women in Afghanistan on Thursday is going to be a great thing out there in California. So I think it's a good thing, and she's somebody that is insightful, understand politics, and know how to really come across in a humorous way. Nanette Bird Smith, welcome aboard. Rose William, welcome aboard. Peggy Lopez, welcome aboard. I saw some Antoinette Bates. I want to address your topic in a little bit because you brought something that is important to the discussion. So let's see if there's anybody else. Paul Fleming is here, and Paul Fleming Sr. is here. I want to talk to you a little bit about that. I understand what you mean about the country was built by slaves. It's absolutely true. The country was built on free slave labor. I want to qualify this. It was built on free slave labor. Again, one does not obstruct that also it was built by immigrants, indentured servitude, and many other things. The people that got the worst out in this country. Yeah, the slaves were bad too. My ancestors in the Caribbean, my ancestors in Latin America, they suffered the misery of slavery as well. But I don't, by the same token, not because I, as a descendant of Latin American and Caribbean slaves, will I not cherish that immigrants from all over the world created what America is today. And if we want to really give nomenclature to those who have suffered the most under the conquering of America, let's also give homage to the Native Americans who didn't just get a chance to be slaves, or that was completely and terribly worded, I understand, but were simply pilfered, maimed, killed, everything taken from them, as well, we know the history. So I was not trying to be rude, Miss Antoinette Bates, or I don't think Mona herself was trying to disregard what slaves played in this country. But to say that one group did pay that ultimate price, which is true, should not deny either the natives who paid likely a worse price in their lives, or the immigrants, other immigrants, not slaves, that built this country. Being able to acknowledge all these realities, I think is very important and does not degrade the service that any particular group have done to create this country that we have. I tell you one of the things, and I'll move on, but I want to say this because as a Black, Caribbean, Latino person, the thing that most hurt me at a time was when I went and spoke to the group. What is the group? The group. It's a group that's trying to recover reparations and all of that. What is it called again? It's a movement. Help me out, folks. The Black movement now that's gaining some popularity. Sometimes I forget it. Anyhow. But I remember going and saying, yeah, I want to be a part of this. I want to help with, with this group. And and this was actually a good friend. Looked me, said, but ADOS, that's the movement, ADOS. Looked at me and said, yeah, but you aren't ADOS. In other words, you don't qualify. And it's not like I was trying to qualify as Americans descendants of slaves or something like that is what this group called for. But it was very distasteful to me that if I walked into a store with this person, and this person, there's no difference that somebody's going to say, oh, you're a Latin Caribbean Black and you're an American Black. They're going to just look and see who I am, right? What I look like. And so when it comes to that movement, I will not understand why, for all practical purposes, ADOS, yeah. For all practical purposes, thank you very much, Yvette. They have limited themselves, in my humble opinion, and it's just my opinion, and I've spoken to them on shows, etc., and have good discussions with them. But I think it is very limiting in the manner in which they promote what I call is dissension among, again, some. Anyhow. Moving on, welcome aboard everybody else that I have not yet welcomed. Just welcome to the show. I'm glad that you're here. I always forget to do this, but I'm not going to this time. Please, I would love for you to support us. Those of you that are on YouTube, please go ahead and click that join button and become a part of the family. If you don't see that join button, we have a link for you. You can support us going to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. You can also support us by going to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. As I've said before, the reason we want to spread to these different platforms is when one platform decide that they, when you're using other platforms, they are in command to how you're supported. So please support us at either politicsdoneright.com/YouTube or politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Of course, we always support PayPal, so please consider that as well, politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. Consider getting our books. You really get a lot out of our books, I promise you that. And not only that, you're right here with the author, and if there's anything that you'd want to discuss, you can either discuss here on the show or have a personal conversation with me, whether by email, chat, whatever. I am very responsive. I've always been, and our audience would tell you that, very responsive. So consider getting our books, politicsdoneright.com/books, and buy the mugs. Buy the mugs. I don't have it I have to add that to our thing, but you can let me give you a link to the mugs. Thank you very much for pointing that out. You can get the mugs right here. The Politics Done Right mugs. I just put the link in the chat for the mugs. And you can also get all our books at politicsdoneright.com/books. Look, we can't do this without you. We can't get that progressive message out without you. We can't go ahead and create all the videos, the blogs. And why are we doing all of this? I mean, we have new people, a lot of new people that come every day. Why do we do all of this? We have, if you see what the right wing does, and people wonder, why do these people believe the things that they believe? They believe it because they get it from either the idiot box, or they get it from YouTube, or they get it from Facebook or whatever, because they have the funding, that they have people all over the world, in Russia, in Vietnam, populating our internet with right-wing lies, so that you can see a right-wing video that's lie. There's this stuff called something university. I mean, giving you the semblance of reality. All we can do is at a marginal cost, create videos, create blogs, create articles, create books that put the truth out there. And personally, what I do, I spend 16 hours a day, and added to my day now is the care of my daughter, of course, from a stroke. But we spend a lot of time trying to create this narrative to help tell the truth and make sure that the internet is filled up with other information as well. So I ask you kindly to support us at one of those links. Get our books, get our mugs, support us via Patreon, Patreon, support us via our YouTube channel. However you can, you help us do what we need to do. The catch-all support link for our production here is politicsdoneright.com/support, and that gives you all the different forms in which you can provide us with support. All right, let me read some of what you guys are saying before I go to the next video. We have Rose Williams says, one aspect of historical exploitation that many are unaware of is that most slave owners were careful to work their slaves so hard, but not to the point of killing them. They wanted to protect their property. Believe it or not, Rose, we've spoken about that a few times, where people talk about how slaves were treated and whipped and so forth. And we always made sure to mention that, yeah, but they were, and you use the word appropriately, just to the point of not killing them because we can't lose our property. It's sad, isn't that? But those who came here as indentured servants, since they weren't property, didn't have that protection. A huge percentage never survived their period of indentured because they were literally worked to death. Rose, and that is one of the reasons. Rose, I don't know if you, well, I'll just say, that is such an important segue in. I'm not going to play the other video because Rose just pointed out something that is very and so important. And I want everybody to listen to this. This is going to be an important narrative that I'm going to say right here. So please listen up. Please share this narrative. I want to read Rose's two statements again and then apply it to today. In speaking about slavery, this is what Rose says. One aspect of historical exploitation that many are unaware of is that most slave owners were careful to work their slaves so hard, but not to the point of killing them. They wanted to protect their property. But those who came here as indentured servants, since they weren't property, didn't have that protection. A huge percentage never survived their period of indentured servitude because they were literally worked to death. Here is the important segue to what Rose Williams just said. Let's bring it on to today. If you're a regular listener of my program, I call capitalism and how the corporations deal with people as antiseptic slavery. Abstracted slavery. What do I mean by that? Rose just answered that question. In the past, when you were owned by another human being, when a person, a company owned you, they had to feed you. They had to clothe you. You didn't get the best cooking. You didn't get the best health care. You didn't get the best housing or any of that. But they had to take care of you because you were property. When we learn how to abstract slavery, we abstract the responsibility of the corporation to you. So therefore, as an entity that does not belong to the corporation, who was just there selling their labor, selling their services, selling their intellect, all the corporation cares about is what you have to do for them so that they can maximize whatever you do to make the profits for a few. So they don't have to give you health care, so most companies don't. They don't have to clothe you. They don't have to feed you. They don't have to make sure that you make enough money for all of those things either. So what does that mean? That then means that when it's time for them to make a change, they can get rid of you. When you get sick, to hell with you. If you don't have any clothes, to hell with you. If you don't have any food, to hell with you. That is where we, the people, the government comes in and says, this is what the limit is going to be. And this is why we need social programs to protect us against the corporation. People always say, we want small government and we like corporate control. Are you kidding me? Corporate control is antiseptic slavery, but it has to be abstracted in a manner that you believe they are in it for you. And they do a good job. Amazon have great commercials on now. We pay at least $15, and in heavy other places, we go ahead and we give you a better deal. When they want to not pay for your health care, or when they don't want you to negotiate for the price of drugs, the government wants to tell you what drugs you can have. It's all mirrors and it's smoke and mirrors. And when you understand that you have ceded, you're not a slave, and slavery used to look this hue, not anymore. Slavery, look in the mirror. If you don't own a company, if you don't own your methods of production, look in the mirror. You are the new slave. I am the new slave. Look in the mirror. Until we change the laws in a manner that supports us all, a manner where the corporation cannot be the one who runs it. The corporation cannot be the one that controls our lives. Until we get policies that really gives us humanity, humane policies, we will remain under the tenet of antiseptic slavery. You see, antiseptic slavery is much better than slavery based on hue, based on color. Why? Because you have a bigger pool. You have a bigger pool to choose from. And not only that, you don't have to pay for their clothes. You don't have to pay for anything. You just have to use them. And when they're done, as Rose Williams said, a huge percentage never survived their period of indentured servitude because they were literally worked to death. And what happens now, many people can't even survive their Social Security. It is, thank you for giving me that segue, Rose. Thank you for giving me that segue. That was a very important piece that you pointed out there. John Smith says, yet leftists push for economic slavery to the government since physical slavery is no longer legal. No, John, let's not conflate. We are not serving. You see, the government is just a pass-through, a redistributor. A redistributor many times of excesses. The government doesn't hold on to anything. We, the people, don't hold on to anything. And again, it's a way of changing the frame, changing how we were indoctrinated to see the reality of how things are. So let's see, anything else that people want to say? Let's see if I missed a comment that needs mention. Great interview, says Rose Williams. Thank you, so kindly uplifting. Bridge says, great interview, laughing my ass off. Let's see what else we got here. Norman says, along this line, there is a recent interview and call-in show that I found important regarding our Constitution and women in our country. Thank you for giving us that C-SPAN link. Paul Fleming thought it was a super interview. Thank you so kindly, sir. Let's see what else we've got here. Wonder if people in those countries even get to watch her. Probably not. But they can get her in a clandestine manner. And we know that there are anonymizers that these people overseas use. Anonymizers are ways where you can actually still get data, get videos and everything from everybody else. So there are ways to do that. So anyway, there's 3 videos left that I didn't get to show, but when you guys bring what I call a better flavor, when we talk about things that you bring up, it's much more important to me than things that I may have put together. How is Ashley? Love the photo. Thank you so kindly, Bridge. Ashley is doing fine. She just put out a video on her Instagram where they're showing her how to cook more efficiently, and they had her on a sort of a recumbent bike, kind of working the best she could. They had her doing a lot of PT, OT, occupational therapy, and physical therapy, etc. She comes. I go pick her up on Thursday. I got her she's walking and doing everything fine, but I got a carrier's wheelchair so that, you know, when she gets tired and we're out working out and so forth, that we can bring her back good. So I installed the stuff in her shower, her bench, all that kind of stuff. So she's doing great. And what I told her all the time is that she has a posse. You guys have been wonderful. You guys have also given me hope. You guys have always given me hope in humanity as being the promoters of progressive values, guys. And even our conservatives in this group are very, very, I think they're at least having the conversation. Well, John Smith just says, you obviously don't know how welfare programs were set up by Democrats since the mid-60s that economically got people stuck on such programs. And you know what? That statement that you just made, John Smith, is actually a correct statement. I mean, it's partially correct, I should say. We need the programs, but the programs were done in a particular manner that exacerbated some people in not moving ahead. I'm not going to argue about that with you, John. But, you know, we have to entertain the conversation in an intelligent fashion as far as how to create these programs that promote an ascent to self-sufficiency, as opposed to just leaving it in some other modal. So we'll talk about that along the way. Norman says, our current capitalist system sees all the nature, people, air, water as a resource to be used and discarded. We are part of the natural system, and abuse leads us to our current odious condition. Each of these areas. You're absolutely right. Rose Williams says, fantastic news about Ashley. Please give her our love. Will do. You need the rest of the rest too. Yes, I need to rest. I've been getting 3.5 hours. It's hard. You are correct about that. Let's see. Bridge MCP Egberto always looks tired because he. I love you guys. I just love you guys, and I really, really mean that to the depths of my heart. Thank you very much, Everett, for the great news. Thank you very much. Hey, John Smith, I hope you're going to be hanging around us for a while, because I love to entertain, entertain the things I say, but I got to get out of here. But I got to do one more plug to ask you guys. Those of you that are new to the show, please click that join button, become a part of our PDR posse. Click that join button if you're on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, please go ahead and support us via this link, politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. Also, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Patreon is spelled Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. You can also support us on PayPal, politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. And you can find our books at politicsdoneright.com/books. And of course, you can find all the options of supporting this program by going to politicsdoneright.com/support. I got to get out of here. Thank you. I'm going to see Ashley right now. So let's see. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.